Hello and welcome to All Indians Matter. I am Ashraf Engineer. It's alarming how the rate of student suicides is growing in India. A recent report says that the rate now surpasses the growth of the population and overall suicide trends. Based on National Crime Records Bureau or NCRB data, the Student Suicides and Epidemic Sweeping India report said that while overall suicide numbers rose by 2% annually, student suicides surged by 4%. Most likely, this number is higher because such cases tend to be underreported. The report, compiled by the IC3 Institute, said, and I quote, "Over the past 2 decades, student suicides have grown at an alarming annual rate of 4%, double the national average. In 2022, male students constituted 53% of the total student suicides. Between 2021 and 2022, male student suicides decreased by 6%, while female student suicides increased by 7%. The incidence of student suicides continues to surpass both population growth and overall suicide trends. Over the last decade, while the population of 0 to 24-year-olds reduced from 582 million to 581 million, the number of student suicides increased from 6,654 to 13,044. Stop quote.
All Indians matter.
According to the report, Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu and Madhya Pradesh had the highest number of student suicides, together accounting for 1/3 of the national total. Southern states and union territories collectively contributed 29% of these cases. Rajasthan, which has coaching hubs like Kota, ranked 10th. Incidentally, the IC3 Institute is a volunteer-based organization that supports schools around the world through guidance and training resources for administrators, teachers, and counselors. Referring to the underreporting of student suicides, the report attributes it to factors such as the social stigma and criminalization of attempted and assisted suicide. Although the 2017 Mental Health Care Act decriminalizes suicide attempts for individuals with mental illnesses, the lingering effect of criminalization ensures that not all such cases are reported. Additionally, there are serious data discrepancies due to the lack of systemic data collection, particularly in rural areas. Ganesh Kohli, founder of the IC3 movement, was quoted in the media as saying that the report underscores the urgent need to address mental health challenges in educational institutions. He said, and I quote, "Our educational focus must shift to fostering the competencies of our learners such that it supports their overall well-being versus pushing them to compete amongst each other. It is imperative that we build a systematic, comprehensive and robust career and college counseling system within each institution while seamlessly integrating the same within the learning curriculum." Stop quote. The report said that both genders experienced an average annual increase of 5% over the past 5 years. It only shows that unless the focus shifts from competitive pressures to nurturing core competencies and overall well-being, such tragedies will continue to occur. In June 2023, the NCRB's Accidental Deaths and Suicide in India report showed that student suicides were increasing drastically, more than doubling over the past 2 decades. In 2001, 5,426 was reported. In 2021, it was 13,089. The data showed that such suicides rose even more after the COVID-19 pandemic. In 2020, NCRB data shows one student took his or her own life every 42 minutes. That year, 11,396 suicides of students under the age of 18 were reported across India. Students have often said they have no emotional support when they feel the pressure of competition or to deliver great grades. Crying for days on end is common in the face of such pressure. Doctors on their part have expressed concern about the lack of trained counselors in educational institutions and coaching classes. The expectations, they say, are even higher of students coming from low-income families. Their families want them to take up high-paying professions such as engineering or medicine that will help them escape their difficult circumstances. The dream is to excel in entrance exams like those for the IITs or the civil services. However, this is easier said than done. This is why so many of them suffer from depression and other mental health challenges. Mental health awareness, of course, is pretty low, which prevents students from seeking help. Student suicides make for a silent epidemic in India. Silent because even those closest to them often don't know or understand what they're going through. Those who can't make it to their dream colleges or professions are shamed and blamed for their families being unable to escape their difficult circumstances. This leads to poor self-worth and low self-esteem. The students feel as if they are worthy only if they do well in these exams. This leads to the suicide risk rising. Doctors have often lamented the poor understanding of mental health in India. One of the best things you can do for your children is pay attention to their mental health. Teens often display signs of distress which can be cured if diagnosed early. The warning signs include a change in behavior. You need to be an empathetic listener. A non-judgmental environment encourages children and teenagers to communicate their emotions. Such spaces are needed across homes, social groups, and educational institutions. Don't dismiss uncharacteristic behavior as a phase. If serious, it could worsen and lead to tragedy. There is absolutely nothing wrong with consulting a mental health practitioner who might offer counseling or even medication when needed. In October 2023, the Ministry of Education released draft guidelines to prevent suicides among school students. These include ways authorities can identify early signs of self-harm, create a supportive environment, and integrate mental well-being in everyday functioning. The guidelines titled Umeed, that is, understand, motivate, manage, empathize, empower, develop, aim to serve as directions to schools for enhancing sensitivity, understanding, and providing support in case of reported self-harm. They pointed out that the reasons for suicide are complex and differ from individual to individual, and that taking your own life can be an impulsive act. Therefore, the guidelines said it was important to be aware of the signs at all times. They noted, and I quote, students go through many transitions during their school life which can cause extreme stress. For example, transition from home to school, from one school to another, school to college, losing a parent, sibling, friend, near and dear one, etc. Along with this, children also experience changes as they progress through the developmental stages, leading to concerns such as those related to physical changes in appearance, peer pressure, career decisions, academic pressure, and many more. It is important to discard damaging notions, including comparisons with peers, the perception of failure as permanent, and the sole measurement of success based on academic performance. Stop quote. The guidelines called for the formation in schools of wellness teams led by the principal and having counselors, students, teachers, a representative of the managing committee, and supporting staff as members. These teams are expected to implement activities that create awareness about mental well-being in order to prevent suicide. The guidelines divided warnings into three categories: feelings, behavior, and actions. Students who exhibit feelings of hopelessness, worthlessness, and shame, or suddenly display a lack of concentration or withdrawal from social interactions are at risk. Other signs include reckless behavior, talking about self-harm, and detachment. The wellness teams are expected to listen to these students and encourage them to talk to counselors. The teams must maintain records of such students and follow up with them. The teams must be reconstituted regularly to provide all stakeholders an opportunity to build awareness, the guidelines specified. These guidelines are a great step, but the key lies in their implementation. It's not as if schools were unaware of the issues before the guidelines were issued. It's just that most choose to do little about student distress. It's up to the state to create awareness, but also us as members of society to destigmatize mental health challenges among students as well as to reduce the pressure on them. Unless that happens, the alarming student suicide numbers may just keep rising.